YouTube for all of the homies. I think we're live though. It certainly looks like it.
I wouldn't know. I don't have a link yet.
Well, it's in there. Let me close the thread. Let me do that. No more messages. No more messages. I'll just post the video in announcements. Let me make sure that the chat is working. Oh, it is not working. All right, I can see why too. Let me copy this.
Still have Ableton open too.
Well, that's okay.
Oh, look at that. I'm in. Oh, I was in theater mode for a little bit.
For just a moment. You know how it is. Technical difficulties and such. They exist. Let me just make sure. Okay, so I got the chat background. Let me just grab the chat itself. All right. And then let me just make sure that it is refreshed. I thought there was a way to do that. Let's see. Browser settings. Refresh cache. There we go. And then
Are we gonna be chatless tonight?
I don't know why it isn't working. I have everything properly set up and it still doesn't want to work. So I guess I'm going to just have it here until I can figure out why it isn't working. But that's okay. Now I got to turn off the background though. What's up, everybody? You know how it is.
All right, hold on. We got another one. A secret submit.
Oh, a secret submit. What does that mean?
Toss it on before the last track, I would imagine.
Oh. Word. But yeah, what's good, everybody? Thank you all for being so patient. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I know that I had a pretty good Thanksgiving. I ate a lot of food. You know, I had like tons of food. Metric truckloads of food. All of the starving children around the world are jealous, which is a shame. Maybe one day we'll do a charity stream. That could be fun. Let's see here. Let me get all of these open. Make sure I've got everyone's wonderful, cool project that they spent lots of time and energy on. All right. Turkey killed me. Damn, dude. You should have killed the turkey better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't have been moving by the time it got to you. What's up with that, bro? Anyway, I'm here with the homie Dino, aka Large Father, aka Mike the G. What's up, bro?
What's up, family?
You know
how we all doing tonight on this Black Thief Day? That didn't come out.
That
right.
did not. That was. Yeah, you're gonna have to undo that one from your guys' ears, but that's okay. No, you know what? We run with it.
We've got no shame.
Zero.
Hold on a second. Wait, these are the same track.
What are?
That's the track.
What, from last week? Is that what you're saying?
No, not that.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you'll figure it out, Twan. Just come up with something. If I can do it, anyone can, you know? But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We got ourselves a spicy start off here. We got Rhythmics with the Alone vibes. Damn, this is some crazy art right here. It gives me Breaking Bad vibes, you know? That's what I'm getting. I'm getting the Breaking Bad vibes from this picture. All right. Well, without further ado, let us embark upon this journey.
You see, in this vast universe of ours, we find ourselves in a peculiar predicament. And in between, we spend a great deal of time trying to convince ourselves that we're not alone. We surround ourselves with people, with noise, with constant stimulation, all in an attempt to find out the underlying reality of our solitary existence. We are, each of us, fundamentally alone. We come into this world, we leave it alone.
Jeez. What a different vibe from the last track that he sent. Do you want to start or should I? I'm down.
Sure, I'll start.
Okay, bet. Flex.
Okay, so first things first, does the main wub do it? Should I keep searching? Brother, that main wub is inharmonic as fuck, and I'm here for it. All right. Question 3 is, does anything sound out of time? Never out of time. Out of key, very out of key. But it's so out of key that everything is inharmonic, and it just, you know, fucking mind-blowing stuff. Other stuff. Overall, grilled chicken breast with you. I'm not for the snare. I am not for the snare. Is there enough variation to keep my ears happy? Yeah, it's very nice, but I am not for that snare. Yeah, that track was something else, brother. You do not miss.
Yeah, that track was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, this is like a really interesting vibe compared to what you've shared with us so far.
Yeah.
I should have asked. You have given your feedback? Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to add?
I mean, keep it coming. I would like to. You know what? Yeah, I need a little bit of like harmonic stability in there. Like it can't be so all over the place as far as like the pitches and the tuning goes. Something maybe a little grounding would be nice as far as like melodically. But aside from that, that was like really, really sick. Whatever I don't know if you know how like I don't know how to describe it, but like you start with like a saw that's like super detuned and then it retunes into harmony. If you could do something like that, I don't know how you would do this with so many layers aside from like painstaking automation. That could be super lit. But yeah, no, sick track, Doc, sick track. We like it.
Yeah, I think that he did a really good job with every single element, except there's this one element. That sound, that don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because
It could go high. It could be higher. There's a lot of stuff in the mid range already. It could be higher.
Not only that, but it feels so out of key that it is off-putting. Like, I would say it's like not the good kind of out of key, because so far you've had like this weird, like almost atonal, like Dinah was saying, vibe that worked, but then this tone, I don't know, it just doesn't resonate in the way that I think it should. I also feel like you're hitting some really low sub notes that aren't like gonna be felt really. Like, even on my headphones, I feel like they're not really hitting the way that they could as far as impactfulness. So I would say high pass whatever it is that you're doing there with the low end, and just add a new sub layer. Just with like another dedicated sub. If that is a dedicated sub, just add another one. I'm not sure I'm also a fan of like the beating sub vibe. So yeah, I would just play around with like a very sustained, maybe like an 808 or just a clean sub, and try to pitch it up a little bit more, as well as make it less like beating where it's like going up and down in volume. But yeah, other than that, I agree with everything else that Dinah was saying. I think that the variation was really cool. Sound design was really cool. I do like the main this kind of reminds me of real sound design a little bit, actually, which is really dope. I think he's a good inspiration, at least for me. So I think you have good sound design. I think that the sub is lacking. I agree with Dino on the snare. I think the drums in general are a little bit weak. So I think if you had like a little bit thicker drums, meaning by thicker I mean like more low end on the kick, more high end on the kick, more low end on the snare, and then the snare had high end, but I feel like the snare just wasn't like I want it to like slap, and it feels too organic to slap in the way that I would want it to. Right now, this is an opinion, but yeah, it feels too much like a real snare. I feel like you would want like this kind of a snare where you have this kind of snare. You know what I'm saying? Like just super, just nice and crispy. Whereas these, I think, it's just not quite crispy enough. But anyway, still a cool track. I think some more hi-hats. And if there are hi-hats, I would make them a little bit more forward in the mix. Maybe a little bit more not soft, but like shorter hi-hats. But other than that, yeah, I think that the idea is crazy. Picture works great. That is like literally the track. Like honestly, that is a good picture to help explain what's about to happen visually. But yeah, dude, I love how different this is from what you have sent us previously. That's crazy. I didn't know.
Yeah, you never miss either, brother. Come into VC sometime.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, and come flip, bro. I feel
definitely
like,
come flip. That might be an easy red army for you.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like Rhythmic could go so hard on a flip. But yeah, very cool track. Keep flexing on it. Yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. So yeah, great work.
Imagine a real type track and Real's not even here to listen to it. That's crazy.
For real. Literally, we need to harass him more, you guys. All right. Next up. I'm just kidding, Real. We love you. Ping Ting 2, Chunderstorm Television 85. let us embark upon this journey.
Go ahead, Magnet.
All right, so is the sidechain operating correctly? I think it sounds pretty good in the context of everything. Like, I didn't really notice anything about it that sounded like bad. How can I make the second part not happen so abruptly? So I don't know. So like, here's my opinion, and I guess this is kind of we're going off the rails here for a minute, but I feel like this song is just like one build-up, like a giant long build-up. Like it's like or like maybe one long intro build-up. I don't know. It feels like it wants to do something, but it never does it. I feel like that's the best way to describe this track. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to do that, I think you're going to want to really go a little bit deeper with the instrumentation that you're using. So like, I think that doing like some alternative chord progressions or even adding in new instruments that kind of elaborate more on the chords or notes that you already have would help keep me like more excited about what's happening. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it feels like elevator music, which is fine. Like maybe the elevator music is the vibe, and I hope you don't take offense to that because it's really not bad. It's just something that my brain wanted it to go somewhere and it never went there. So maybe that's like my own issue, right? But I think the big thing about this part happening so abruptly is you're not like letting anyone know what's about to happen. So you do have that little bit of like a pitch bendy thing that leads up, and that kind of lets people know something's about to happen. But you could, you know, have like some other instrument that is in both sections to let the person know that it's a continuation of what's going on. So like, for example, you could have, I don't know, any instrument. Let's just pretend here that's maybe like a saxophone, right? Or even, here's an even better one, a white noise sweep, okay? So you have a white noise sweep that starts in this section and then it goes all the way up, right? It does the whole, and then maybe it does the, you know, like the second half has the sweep going down. So like stuff like that where you have some instrument that is in both sections that connects that part together can really help kind of glue those two sections together, because the whole goal is to let the listener know that they're about to be hearing something without like giving them all of it. So that's kind of like the biggest way to improve transitions like that. How can I mix or EQ stuff to make it feel less cluttered in the middle? And just, can I mix this better in general? So mix wise, I feel like it's not bad. I do think that there's a little bit of a muddy bass vibe, but I actually kind of like it in the context of the lo-fi-y kind of elevator music vibe. Like it actually does work. But But everything about like mud is existing in this kind of like, you know, what is that, like 120 ish to like 200. So whenever you see like harmonics in that section go above your fundamental, you're going to feel muddiness. So like what I always recommend is if you do see stuff like that, which happens periodically, you can see moments where that bass guitar that you're using has a harmonic that goes above the fundamental. I would just try and tame some of those harmonics. But yeah, I think it sounds cool. I just think you could definitely take this a little bit further if you're trying to get into a little bit more danceable music. I would say this is like really hard to dance to, but it could be really good for like, you know, like cowboy bebop scenes, right? Like where they're like chilling at the bar, like chatting. You know, this could really work well for that. So it's like, what do you want to make it for? Is the real question. So yeah, I think that it's a cool song regardless. It's just my mind wanted it to get more exciting, but it doesn't have to get more exciting. So those are my thoughts. Dino, what do you think?
All right, let's go. Okay, so first question. Let's see here. Is the sidechain operating correctly? I'm with Magdude on that. I didn't perceive anything. How can I make the second part not happen so abruptly? Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like the abrupt is okay, but it needs to build into something further than that. So like, if you do the do 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 do, and you do that for like maybe like a bar or even 4 bars, and then you bring in, because there's almost no proper low end in that second part. There's like some high bass, so there's like low mids or high bass, but there's no like proper sub bass going on there. Yeah, I rip on saxophone over these songs at live shows for sure, and I was definitely getting like, in my area for a long time on NPR on Saturday nights at 10 o'clock, there was a program called Acid Jazz with Gary Vercelli. And I used to like purposefully be places until 10 o'clock so I could drive home listening to that. And I definitely picked up like that vibe for sure. So I can see that. How can I mix or EQ stuff to make it feel less cluttered in the middle? So you can either play them in so that they're not stacking on the same frequencies, or you can play them in so that they're not stacking on the same frequencies, or you could play them in so that they're not stacking on the same frequencies. Yeah, transit's good, infiltrator's good, thermal's good. They're all very capable of making transitions. I like transit. Magdude turned me on to that a couple months ago. I don't use it very often, but it's a very good way to like transform your track into some sort of transition. But I feel like doing a transition from one of those is not going to fit the vibe of this track, or at least not the second half of this track. Definitely very groovy. I like that a lot. How can I mix this better in general? Make a sub bass happen on the second half somehow. If that means like getting rid of like it doesn't sound like an upright bass, because if it was an upright bass, it'd be lower in the spectrum. Like you'd have more low end than that. And it doesn't quite feel like an electric bass. Is it like a modeled acoustic bass? Is that what that is? Either way, there's just not enough low end content in there. And if you do, like, they call it the fake out in rhythm and tear out music. If you do like the 1 bar with no bass and then you bring it in, that abrupt transition could be okay. Like that could work there. And so yeah, it is a really weird track. I get that. It feels like a weird track. It definitely doesn't feel like 3 tracks mashed together though,
Which is
because
good.
I've done that before. Yeah, this has a little more cohesion. But anyway, yeah, that's some good shit.
Yeah, dude. Like
Keep
I
coming
said.
back. And
Oh, what were you gonna say? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, good.
I was just gonna say, bro, that could totally go on like some Cowboy Bebop vibes. Like that would be great in like a movie setting, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then a good way to build up those skills for making like abrupt transitions is to show up on Thursday and Sunday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern for the flock flip. So yeah, that's a good way to get those reps in.
This is kind of, you know, the way. This is the way, my guys. All right. Now we got this guy.
Wait, is there questions with this? Norby,
Norby, no questions.
no questions, Norby.
Let me make sure. Bro. We'll wait till he has
Hold on.
questions.
I'm gonna spam him real quick.
Yeah, tell him to send us some questions so that we know what he wants to improve. But in the meantime, we will listen to Poyo's track and we will come back. So, Poyo with the Cadet Keem. What does that mean, bro? What does that
I don't know. I'm scared.
I'm scared too.
I took out to France, they go crazy when I dance. Before I hit the stage, I need the bands in my hands. Bitch, I sleep with my fingers in my dance. She say she a stripper, she don't fuck, nigga, she dance. Dance, don't go for my bitch, don't you touch her, I go frantic. Talk 2x5, big Titanic, too many options. Love me cause I'm getting poppin', ayy. Take off the toppings, look in the window, we shopping, ayy. You be imposters, you playing outside with the monsters, ayy. I be with demons, we get on your top like demons, ayy. Y'all taking my picture, take your ass to the beer before I leave. This ain't no concert. Big flight out the country, when I move, I'm in a saucer. Treat her like the burner, once I'm done, I'm gonna toss her. Ayy, 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 beat the box like Bowser. Ho, is it fall? Excuse me, I need my hours. Ho, fairy tale, no beef, bitch, you cauliflower. Yeah, tunnel feet, excuse me, teeny bob, yeah, hey, started. Bitch, I double park it, double, bitch, I double park it. Don't talk to me when I stump in this bitch, ho, ho. Don't talk to me when I stump in this bitch, ho, ho, yeah. Too many options, love me cause I'm getting poppin', ayy. Take off the toppings, look in the window, we shopping, ayy.
Nice.
Wow.
I'll
Always something
hop
new.
on.
Yeah.
I'll hop on this first. Is the mix sounding ready for a release? Okay. Before I address the second part of that question, no, it's not, because it's distorted. And if not, what could be done to improve the clarity? Work on the distortion. I think the 808 might have a little bit too much fuzz going on it. And that's the source and it's just distorting stuff up higher on the chain, I feel like. So that could be it. Are there any professional artists that don't master their tunes, or is it possible to achieve the same level of quality without mastering? I don't know. I'm sure there is at somewhere. And like, I'm sure they exist. If you're talking about like, are there any artists that don't send their tracks to like a professional master? Probably. I would imagine there's plenty of them that do that. I mean, depends on what your definition of professional is. If I were to master a track other than Ozone, what are some good plugins to use, or what are some of the industry standards? Interesting that you should mention that. Stick around until we get to Magduet's track, and we might talk about mastering when we get there. We were doing a little bit of evolutionary spice on the
Mastering chain vibes.
on the mastering chain, yeah. Really, that's to taste, but for the first, you want to get your mix down perfectly. And I know we say this a lot, but like clip to zero is a good way to get that loudness there, that clarity loudness. And basically, you just put a clipper on every channel. Yeah, controlled saturation. Rhythmix is spitting facts here. He's spitting facts here. And also, it looks like Norby's in the chat. Norby, send us some questions, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Send us some questions so we can
Send
circle
us-
back to your track.
Send us what it is that you want us to help you get better with your own ting.
Right.
That goes.
But anyway, back to Poyo's track.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of counterintuitive. for what I normally tell people to do, because this track, like the vocals definitely sound like they belong in the track. But with this, I would keep. You know what? Just open up the Ableton that you have open already, Magnet, so that I can give them a visual representation. Do you still have it open?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look on the right hand side
Oh,
of
hang on,
Magnet's Ableton,
I'm gonna have to do this.
that's not what I'm trying to show.
Oh. Well, that's fine. They can see more now. Anyway.
You'll see he has a pre-master chain, and then he has a not Vox chain, and then he has a Vox chain. Right? And he's treating those as like two very separate elements in his track before he puts them into his pre-master. And then the pre-master is going to glue everything together. So you want to get your not Vox chain, you need to get that extremely clear. And then that will like make it so that when your vocal is put in and everything is glued together in your pre-master or your master chain, like it doesn't distort in itself. Because my main issue is there was like seemingly a lot of distortion in the first half to 2/3 of the track. And then as someone else in the chat said, the kick does kind of disappear. And that's some like side chain fuckery going on. But you could always just use like a straight 808. But anyway, yeah, that's what I got about that. I love your music, Poyo. I wish you would stick to one genre, because you're like 85% of the way mastered with one and like 95% of the way mastered with the other. And if you could just work on like one vibe for 1 month, like straight, or like 2 months straight, you could really get there with it.
Hang on, I'm just making sure that everyone sees this. All right, so there's this one part of this post, and I'm just going to show you guys. Make sure you have 3 questions with your post or on SoundCloud. Oh, I keep forgetting that. Yeah, there we go. That's the one section.
On busier nights, we're gonna start skipping tracks that don't have questions.
This is very important, because I don't want to have to skip people, but it is the only way to not get skipped. So we love you guys. All right, love you. All right. Sorry. Did you get through everything you wanted to say?
Done.
All right.
I'm passing. It's all you, buddy.
So, yeah, you pretty much covered everything I wanted to talk about. The big thing about sounding release ready is you got to be able to play it next to a song that you're trying to be like or in the same ballpark around, right? Like you want to play it next to a song that you think is release ready, like that you like to listen to. And if it doesn't sound as impactful or as good or as clear or as mastered, whatever words you want to use to describe the final parts of your process, if it doesn't sound like that, then it's not ready, right? Like, and that's the big thing, is referencing finished music is the way to do it. And that's pretty much the only way to do it that I know of. That's what all the professional mastering engineers do. That's what Seth Drake does, who has mastered really, really, really successful artists.
The mastering goat.
Yeah, especially within the electronic music scene, where, you know, he has mixed and mastered, obviously, like He Who Shall Not Be Named and others. But yeah, the idea is you got to be able to reference something and it feel the same as what you're using or listening to, at least in your own music. So yeah, improving clarity, I mean, really all that you can do to improve clarity is to remove stuff that doesn't need to be there. So like when it comes to the grouping that I have on my Ableton project that we were briefly talking about, the reason why that I have a not Vox and a Vox track is so that I can remove frequencies from my not Vox track that are impeding upon my Vox track. So that way my vocals aren't mushed together with the other frequencies that are kind of taking up the same place as the vocals. And that's something that, I don't know, a lot of people might not do, but in my opinion, it's the most important part, especially on a song like this where you need the lyrics to be at the front, in my opinion. And that just doesn't it doesn't really happen. Like, it feels lost in the mix, in my opinion. So I would definitely work on trying to get your vocals to be sitting better in the mix and making room for them, because in this track you have like no room for your vocals. All Are there any professional artists that don't master their tunes, or is it possible to achieve the same quality? Okay, so here's the thing. There are. In fact, the guy who I was just talking about, or let's talk about like other people like Mersive, or a lot of people don't master their own shit, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to not master your own shit. Like, if you,
I think the essence of the question is: are there artists who do not send their tracks to a mastering engineer?
Oh, and have it like released? Absolutely. But they master it themselves. See, like, they still master it though. They still like master it themselves. The short answer is you always have to master the song. Like that final step is a part of every good songs, or I would say good modern songs. 'Cause I guess you listen to like some 80s rock or something, and that'll probably be mastered differently. But it's always going to be a part of the process, whether you do it yourself or you pay someone else to do it. If you were to master your track on Ozone, what are some good plugins? I think any plugins work. Really, there's really no right or wrong way to master. The biggest thing is
there's wrong ways to master
when it comes to your tool choice. When it comes to your tool choice. There's really no like right or wrong tool to use. They all can do the right job. It's kind of like, it's like you're trying to like hammer some nails into a board and you're trying to pick between 10 different hammers. Like, they're all going to work. It's just one might be like electric, one might be, like just a tiny little one. One might be like a sledgehammer, right? Like, eventually you'll figure out how to get that nail to go into that board with all of them. But yeah, in my opinion, the best plugin types that matter are clippers and limiters, and dynamic EQs are probably the big three that I recommend to people when they're trying to master. You can go even further and talk about saturation as well. Like, tube saturation is a big one that I think is good, or at least some kind of saturation is nice, but it's not really necessary. Like, the big ones that are necessary, probably the most important one that is most necessary is a limiter. In my opinion, the limiter is the most important part of that whole process. And sometimes it's not about using the limiter, it's about how you're pushing it into the limiter without using it. It's kind of like using the limiter as like your sign to be like it's telling you it's existing and working, which means that you're doing something too much. Like, so because the limiter is activating, that means that it's probably too loud in certain areas, right? And that's like certain things that I rely on when I'm mastering. But the most important thing to rely on is the reference track. So yeah, that's why I always tell people who are trying to learn how to master their tracks, like, start using reference tracks and you'll get a lot better. But thank you very much, Poyo. Did Norby get some questions? Did Norby send anything?
Not to me, not yet.
Not to me either. Norby, send 3 questions. You can do it. I believe in you. I know you can do it. All right, we will keep going for now. Next up is Foundation. I wonder if this has some sub bass in it,
Fucking better.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying.
Also, I would like to address Snake's questions before we get started.
What is
the low end too big? Is it muddy? Those are kind of the same question. And how do I make it better is kind of a non-question. Come on, bro.
You know how you can make it better? No, I'm not going to say what I was thinking. Let's embark upon this journey.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I can hear those in his voice too. Good God. What was that stereo field? Jesus Christ.
Do you want to go first or should I?
Yeah, I'll take it.
I have some things to say, but I know exactly what I want to say, so take it away, bro.
Go ahead. You
The big thing that I just was this is just I just want to start with this. All right, this is the only thing I want to say. Where is the sidechain, bro? I can't believe you've done this. All right, now take it away. Take it away. Dino.
Is that all you had to say?
That's all. Where is it? I've lost it.
Okay. All right. I have a similar complaint. Second octave bass line in the second half, brother. We're just in the crossover dead zone? I mean, yeah. Yeah. Just bring the fundamental down an octave on that. Instead of hitting at 80 hertz, which is like a crossover dead zone, you could be hitting it at 40 hertz, which is like the peak spice on most subwoofers. But anyway, yeah, his drink container fell off the console because it was vibrating like a motherfucker. You hit the peak resonance of the Sonic Cup. That being said, is it muddy? No, it doesn't feel muddy. Actually, the mix down feels fantastic, which is, I mean, it was a little spicy on the second half and the high end, but like as far as your mixes go, this is probably one of the cleaner things you've made. Is the low end too big? It's super wide in the second half, but that's not from the low end. That's just the stereo field in the mids and the highs. How do I make it better? Oh, brother, give me something. Yeah, a little side chain, and give me something like a little more progressive in the first minute and 40 seconds. Aside from that building high end, which is it's really tasteful and really fantastic, people are not going to sit through 2 minutes of that slow build without something else catching their attention. Because like I can understand, like, because you and I come from a different breed. Like, we'll listen to 10-minute odysseys. You know what I'm saying? Most people will not. Like, by a show of hands, who gets bored after 25 seconds? Who here is TikTok brain rotted? Right.
Wait, but I don't go on TikTok, but I'm still brain rotted.
You know what I'm saying? So a little more variation. Also, back to the sidechain thing. If you do a little bit of sidechain, like I can feel a spicy 16th triplet rhythm, you know, going with that sidechain. Like I was waiting for it to do that. Like I was waiting for that rolling 16th triplet bass line. But yeah, that's what I gotta say. So to wrap it up, no, it's not muddy. Bring it down an octave in the second half. Do a little bit of a like some more progression, some more tonal changes, and then maybe some sort of like catchy. And it says #house. This is so far from house. And then bring down that second half.
It's his house, you know.
It's his house.
It's his house.
You know.
Sorry.
But yeah, that's sick track though. I really liked it. I was definitely in that intro though, for sure. That intro got me steaming. All right.
So, I have just a few things to say other than the sidechain thing. Yeah, definitely like make that sidechain. If it is there, make it way more noticeable. Because I feel like in these kinds of tracks where you have like 4 on the floor energy at all, you need something that helps groove the track better, and sidechain is there for that purpose. But yeah, I think that the low end was fine. I feel like let me just do a quick little peep. I feel like the one thing that I didn't like was how the bass and the kick are like not grooving well together. Like, I don't know if I like when the kick is happening. When the bass is happening in comparison to the kick, but that's just me, maybe. And it's not necessarily that it's too big. It's just that it feels like they're clashing as far as the groove, the rhythm of the two things feels weird. The kick sounds spicy, right? Like you have this 4 on the floor kick, but then the bass sub area just feels like it's like random almost, which I don't know if I'd like that or not. I would say like maybe mess around with the groove of the sub energy a little bit more. It's not really muddy. I think the big thing is I agree with Dino. The sub is just a little bit high. Like you could lower that a little bit more.
Not in volume, in octaves.
In octaves,
right?
yeah. Frequencies. Yeah. The frequencies are just a little bit too high up.
Volume is good.
I think the biggest thing other than the sidechain to make it better is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love like aggressive and some would say even harsher kind of mixdowns, but I feel like this is kind of pushing it just a little bit too far, especially in this like, what is it, like 9 to 8K, maybe even a little bit further up. It feels like you have something going on there that is just, it's too dastardly, you know what I'm saying? Like it sounds like nails on chalkboard type energy, which I personally, I mean, get away with as much of that as you can, but I think you pushed it a little bit too far. And I would say just try to tame those frequencies a little bit more, either with an EQ or something like that. But you can still have the feeling of that. It's just too much of it, I think, just starts to feel a little bit difficult to listen to. But yeah, I think the big thing, oh, you don't agree? Hey, that's okay. We can agree to disagree. I just know that it hurts my ears, you know? That's what I think. And I know that on really big systems, that would like probably leave you with some people who were like not happy from a physical perspective because they'd have like,
tinnitus activated.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like it reminds me of the guy. So there was this one time where I recorded this guitarist who was in a metal band back when I was in school, and he would keep turning up his amplifier to like make it louder to the point where we had to start turning down the recording thing inside. And there was this one part where, you know, we couldn't get any of the microphones to record because all you would hear is his amplifier, and it was so loud that it was just like clipping into his microphone and sounded horrible. And we literally had to go in and tell him like, yo, stop turning up your amplifier. And then we turned it down, but then he kept turning up his amplifier. So then we had to go back in and move the amplifier. We were like, hey, you know what? We have an idea. Let's put the amplifier in this other room and record it there. So he literally couldn't touch the amplifier. And that was how we were able to record that song. So what I'm trying to tell you is there are a lot of opinions, and you may think that you have the right opinion, but hear me out. Try it first. Like, try to be kind to the high end. And if it sounds like shit, then you never have to like do it again. But at the end of that day, that band was really happy with the way we recorded their song, even though this guy kept trying to turn up the amplifier. So what I'm trying to say is like, just see if it works. Like, see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then hey, you don't have to listen to me. But yeah, I think that you also could definitely improve the arrangement. I think the arrangement's a little bit boring. You know, you kind of have like just that one sound kind of happening this whole section. We could add drums. We could add little breaks. You know, there could be some dynamic movement. You know, not just the sausage of sound. You know, we can make the sausage of sound have cuts in it and make it into like a jambalaya. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that the sound design is fire. So yeah, exactly. Movementy. Exactly. That, see, he's picking up exactly what I'm putting down. But cool. This is a cool idea, Snake. Definitely keep working on it.
So I gotta mention that story you told. It reminds me of like a reverse Lee Sklar. If you guys don't know who Leland Sklar is, he put a dummy switch on his guitar so that when the producers are like, hey, change something about that, he just flips the switch and they're like, perfect. Does nothing.
That's like the vibe. That's the vibe, honestly. Yeah, working in a studio is interesting to say the very least. Because they're paying you to do whatever you want or they want you to do, which is sometimes It's like they want you to make a great song or help them make a great song, but their song is so bad. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like going to a restaurant and fucking going in the kitchen yourself after you order the food and trying to make it.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
let the professionals work, please.
But really, really
All
cool. That was awesome. I'm excited to hear where that goes. You better come back with that track, Snake. I want to see where that goes in the future. But thank you.
Yeah, you could say the foundations are there. Oh, he did it. Oh.
This guy is crazy. This guy is nuts. All right, revamp master.mp3. I hope it's actually a wave. Wouldn't that be funny if it was a wave file? All right, let us.
I'm getting the feeling it's not.
You're probably right. Wow.
All right. So because this is a relatively polished track, I'm gonna go no mercy on it. We're gonna go ham.
We have
We're
to.
gonna go hard. Just because I can tell this guy knows what he's doing for the most part. All right. First of all, we're at 2 fake outs in the intro. That's too many for a DMD, I think. I prefer my DMB to have no fake outs. So that's something to consider. Also, when you're talking about like a pre-drop portion, you're going full bass in the pre-drop. That is kind of not the vibe. And then, Mr. Magduit, can you draw us the reverse Nike swish of the of what your spectrum should look like? Because I feel like you just have so many frequencies stacking up that like the bass gets lost. Like we're losing the impact of the bass, which you can tell from the frequency spectrum. Like there's plenty there, but you see that shape down in that little mini meter in the bottom right hand corner. That's what that should be making the whole time. And so that's that. Yep, 120 max out there. Maybe even lower on this because it's a lot of second harmonic. And then
like
also
this is
there
all
were
ish.
yeah. And
God,
then
I can't write. I can't write with this fucking pencil, you guys.
ish. Yeah. So, 120 IQ. Oh god. Anyway, so yeah, I just feel like there could be a little bit more frequency clarity there. And I think that's the term that I'm coining, frequency clarity. When we're talking about all of the frequency separation. I feel like it's lacking character. Do you feel the same? No, I feel like this track's all character all the time. Maybe too much character. Maybe sometimes you should take the character away so that you can give us the character back. Because this is like, look at that waveform, brother. This is a 3 minute and 15-second track, and we are not adhering to any of the arrangement rules. Which I feel like if we adhered to some of the arrangement rules, we would be in a much better position. What's missing in your opinion? Ooh, good question. A proper breakdown is missing, okay? Because you have a breakdown. You just can't tell that it's a breakdown because you have full fat frequency during the breakdown, right? Which, all character, you don't know. It is all character. I should stop reading chat when I'm trying to roast a track. I'm not even roasting. This is really good.
He's trying to throw you off. All right.
This is a really good track. And then there was a portion in the first half where I just felt like it could go with some more like fills, some more like 8-bar fills. Like after every 8 bars, just a little bit of a fill. My friends make music. However, I am proud of. I just feel like it's missing that element. What element do you think it's missing, brother?
I think I know what he's gonna. I can try and here. Well, finish what you were gonna say first. Finish.
Yeah. So a little bit more of like on the arrangement, because this is one of those 95% of the way there tracks, right? As far as like creative choices that I'm usually not a fan of, I usually don't like downsampled vocals, but I feel like they really work here with the vibes, with the vibe of the track. Yeah, the mix is really good. Yeah, there's no rules, only guidelines. And then we can talk about like it could go with some fills. Where was I? I was saying in the first half, it felt like there was one too many repetitions of one of the bass grooves. I feel like is what I was thinking. But it only happened one time, so I don't know what's going on there. It felt like it. Yeah, it does feel like Vengeant. That's a good reference Vengeant. That's a good reference suggestion right there. Anyway, go ahead, Mr. Magnet.
All right, so
Big track. Come around on Thursdays and Sundays. Sorry.
Yeah, for real. This guy also. Everyone should be coming around on Thursdays and Sundays, TBH. But this guy especially. I'm just kidding. Everyone, you better come through or else. But no. Here's my thought. So the character that you're describing, I think, is so due to the fact that you're kind of going like 1,000% the whole time, there is the lack of dynamics, which I think is what you want in your track, because the dynamics is what is going to make it feel impactful. So you have I would say that you do have the like full dynamic. Like once you have, how do I describe this? You have the hype energy locked in. Like you have the right amount of energy when it is meant to be hype. You have that feeling locked in. But because you're not giving the listener any time to like breathe in between moments, you don't get as much, punch, because you're only feeling. I did this example, I think it was like a few weeks ago, I forget when. But the idea here is like if you're punching someone and you're like right up next to them like this, you can't really like punch them. There's like there's no room to go anywhere. But if you
leave it to Magduit to get violent.
Right.
God.
Right. Well, the whole point is you're trying to You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to do that. Like, that's the whole point of the noise, right? Like, you want to just make people feel something. So, in my opinion, if you have dynamics, when you do throw that punch, you actually have room to, like, make things feel more impactful rather than, you know, being like this the whole time. You don't have any room to make something feel more impactful. So, what I would recommend to you is reference people. Vengeant was a good suggestion. I would actually say Skrillex would be a really, really, really good reference for this because I feel like you are like on that wavelength, which is really cool. I think that your arrangement style and even sound design choices are kind of like nudging in that direction. So I would say Skrillex would be a really good, especially some of his older stuff, like some of his like reggae dubsteppy stuff. From a mixdown perspective, I think that would be the guy to check out for this style. But yeah, no, I think the character that you're describing is that dynamics. So I would try and work on that. What is missing? Hang on a second. I think, yeah, having some room in the low mids, a little bit more room in the low mids, and also I think the harshness in the highs could be addressed a little bit. It's not too harsh, but it's like pushing it a little bit too far. I think you could be a little bit more kind in that frequency range. And I think you only asked 2 questions, right? I think you only asked 2 questions. Let me check again.
No, there's a third question.
Am I an idiot? What was the third
No,
question?
no, there's only 2 questions.
Oh, I can't believe you've done this. All right. My other suggestion would be ask more questions. But no, I mean, yeah. Reference. Everyone who's listening to my voice right now, reference other music. I know you can do it. Stop being lazy.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What was that?
Reference other tracks, please.
Gotcha.
Please, because I didn't do that for probably 13 years, and I regret it. I fully regret it. Now I've been referencing music, and for some reason, my music sounds better. I wonder if it's because I started referencing tracks. But anyway, thank you for your track. That was really cool. Reference Skrillex, my guy. You are on that wavelength, which is nuts.
Not just Skrillex, Vengeant too.
Well, I said Vengeant was good as well, but yeah.
And then maybe like Teddy Killers, Black Sun, like just all of the big D&B guys.
Facts. But yeah, fire track. Dude killed it.
Yes,
all right.
He did.
Yeah, and he does have style. I don't know why he lies to us like this. Oh shit, I just closed out the track because I'm really good. How do I reopen a window? What's the hotkey command? If anyone does know, I will give them a cookie.
In Chrome, it's Control-Shift-T, but...
Control-Shift-T. It's probably the same on this then, right? Yeah.
Oh, it is. That's crazy.
What a guy. All right, Frogs on Acid. Let us embark upon this remix.
Frogs on Acid. Acid. Frogs. Frogs. Acid. Frogs. Acid. Acid. Frogs on acid. 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 Frogs on acid. Acid. Frogs. Acid. Acid. Frogs. Acid. Frogs. Frogs.
That was loud.
Brother didn't reference one track. He just referenced the whole fucking Wakan Gravitas fucking record label.
All at once.
All at once. Okay. I guess I'll go here. I feel like there's no dedicated sub in this track. Because if there was, then maybe the spectrum readout would have been a little bit different. But here's in order of my notes. The first drop does get samey about halfway through. It feels like you did 1A, 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 1A instead of 1A, 1B, 1A, 1B, or 1A, 1B, 1C, 1B. I agree with Snake. I feel like you could have done a little more stereo work because you have like a lot of stereo stuff going on. The responses could have had a little more stereo work in them. And then the second harmonic beats the fuck out of the fundamental in the second half. Like it just completely trashes it, just beats it down to the ground. It's bah, bah, bah. And that's what led me to believe that there was no dedicated sub, because usually when that happens, because there's no dedicated sub, because you can tell there's like a sub and then there's like it's following up on the spectrum perfectly. Sick track though. Yeah, top comment there. The frogs are certainly on acid. Which reminds me, if you're gonna talk about frogs being on acid, don't you have to have the Alex Jones clip about like the acids turning the frogs gay or whatever it is? Anyway, that might be too off-putting for the year of our Lord 2024 or 2025, more realistically, because this year's ending. So yeah, the vocal, it didn't feel like it was in the same space as the rest of the track. It felt like it was just appended in, except it could have been that it was just too loud and it wasn't processed in a similar or the same way as the rest of the track. And a really neat and easy way to do that is whatever reverb you're processing on your percussion, which it sounds like you didn't do very much reverb percussion processing on this track, because like the samples probably had some reverb like cooked into them, but like they all felt like not cohesive or glued together. And maybe just a little bit of like compression on everything just to bring that vocal to the same level as everything else. Just make it feel like it's coming from the same place and it's processed the same way as everything else, because it just felt like it was slapped in there. Because this track, like the vocal, I don't think does anything for it. Like it would be the same track without the vocal, if that makes sense. And that's not what you want to have, especially with such a fun and cute vocal snippet like a Vocaloid saying frogs on acid. But yeah, let's see. Do the two drops work well together? Yes, they do. They work just fine together because they're created from similar elements, if not the same elements. Is the first drop too busy? I would argue it's not busy enough, but that's in the arrangement sense. Thoughts on mixing and mastering? First time using sausage fattener to make it louder. It was loud. It was plenty loud. Thoughts on mixing and mastering? Again, dedicated sub is what I would say is where you could go on that. If that's not an option, cut out the second harmonic and dip the third harmonic a little on the bass track, I would say. But yeah, no, great track, dude. Definitely love it. And Kermit that is one AI fucking Kermit for sure. But yeah, go ahead, Mr. Mag, do it.
Word. Yeah. I mean, you pretty much flexed on most of the stuff that I would have. I mean, I think the big thing is the drops work well together, but the problem is that they're not deep enough in the arrangement sense. Like, I know Dino touched on it, but I feel like that's what I really want to make sure is heard. Like, I would really try and get some dynamicness going on with either the timbre of the sound design or the arrangement of the sound design. I really like Dino's mention of the A, B, C, B, or even A, B, C, D if you're really trying to go hard. I just think that it's so much better to have it would have felt a lot less boring because I did start getting bored during both of the drops. And I think that if you changed up some of the arrangement, it would have felt like really fresh still. And it's not like you'd have to change like a ton of stuff. I always recommend to people checking out the Fractal Technique video that I put out. But if you don't want to watch the Fractal Technique video, just long story short, try and explore some new sounds that will work within the song. I think that's what you really need in this kind of a track. I do think that it was a little bit loud. Like I think it was clipped like a little bit too hard, but that is just my opinion. Don't get me wrong, you can make really loud music, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that like this is pushing like -3 LUFS the whole time. And I think that with non-dynamic tracks like this, similar to the previous track that we had listened to that was non-dynamic, which I think was that the last track? Yeah. So like there's nothing wrong with not having dynamics, but the problem is when you don't have dynamics, you have to be very conscious of how you're going to purposefully put dynamics into your song. And I feel like there's just not enough dynamics in the song to the point where it feels too loud, like it hurts, because it's okay to have a -3 track, but if it's dynamic enough, it doesn't really feel like a problem. But if you don't have any dynamics or you have a little dynamics and it's a -3 track, then it starts to get kind of difficult to listen to. So I would just kind of keep that in mind. I think referencing as well could help with this, as all of our music. I do think that mixing and mastering, so like you did a pretty good job. If that's you know, I'm answering your third question. I think you did a pretty good job. It's just that it's a little bit too loud. Like I think it's like a teeny bit too loud, and that's not in the volume sense. It's in like the dynamic EQ, specific instrumentation sense. So I would just focus on trying to get rid of some of the harshness, but maintain some of the mid-range vibe that you have. I do think that the dedicated sub idea would go great as well. I think that having a little bit more of a stable low end would help with that. But yeah, mainly just the high frequency harshness. I would just try and look at that and make sure it's not too harsh. It's okay to have a little bit of that, but I think that it's like a little bit too much in this case. And I do think that the first drop isn't too busy. It's just that there's not enough dynamicness. Dino brushed on that. But yeah, no, I think it's a cool song though. I think you're well on your way to making a banger, dude. And I do agree with Dino about the frogs on acid vocal. It really could have been integrated into the song more. Like it doesn't feel like it even needs to be in the song. Make it feel more like a part of the, like it has to be in the song. You know, add some more effects to it, maybe make it delay more into the track, or even like make those moments more impactful by manipulating the vocals more. Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of ways you could make that feel more like a part of the song. But yeah, I think that it's a cool song regardless. Definitely a vibe. Yeah, definitely keep working on this, because that's nuts. And that is AI Kermit, isn't it? God.
Has to be.
That's like nightmare fuel. That's spicy. Anyway,
All
thank
right,
you.
Mr. Mag, after this next track, do we want to circle back to the late submit and to Norby's track, and then we'll do yours last?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right.
All right, let us embark upon the speed wave type. Oh, I'm so sorry. Now we will embark. Oh, it's four. This is a long track, so we are going to definitely not be listening to this whole thing, but I love you.
Hold on. He says, I'm assuming no longer than 3 minutes, just skip like 30 seconds or something. If time is of the essence. Is time of the essence tonight, though? Is it really?
It kind of is.
Okay.
Well, I'll start with All right. I think I will kick us off this time. I feel like the Reese is not bad, which is good. I think it actually is like a perfect vibe for the track. It fits. I think that the big thing is it could actually be a lot loud. Maybe not a lot louder, but it could be louder. All right. I think that the Reese could be a little bit more forward in the mix. Let me just grab the old paintbrush here. So your mix kind of looks like this at times. And it also kind of looks like this at times. But it doesn't look enough like this. And you could even make it look a little bit more like this if you have a Reese, because you don't really have a dedicated sub. And long story short, you have this feeling of a lack of low end because you have so much mid-range stuff happening, which is fine. It means that you have to make sure your Reese is like able to match that energy. So yeah, I would turn up the Reese. That's like the first thing I would do. Oh, then I would turn that up as well, because it's really hard to hear it In fact, I didn't even know it was there. That's how quiet it was. So yeah, I would say really make your low end elements louder. I would also say that the high end energy, it's not too full. It is a little bit muddy. I think it's not muddy because of the instrument selection or the combination of the instruments, but it is in the sense that you have these certain resonant frequencies that stick out, and I think that they don't stick out in a good way. So like, let me see if I can find one of them. So you can hear it. It's kind of like, how do I describe this? Like
Is that like 10, 11, 15?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's even lower than that. It feels like the 1K section feels weird. Like it feels like that's what's giving it that like almost hollow feeling. So yeah, I think it's cool. It's just that it's like certain frequencies are sticking out in a bad way. Honestly, the best way to deal with that, or at least to find those frequencies, is the classic boost and sweep. I'm sure you guys have maybe heard of that, but if not, I'll just quickly show you. You just grab a Pro Q and just show you real quick. All you have to do is this. You grab your EQ. It doesn't have to be Pro Q. This works with any EQ. But you grab your EQ, you boost with a bell curve, and you sweep through the frequencies until you find the ones that you think sound bad. And then you just do a, and you can even like adjust the Q value as well. So like, you know, you can make the Q a little bit steeper. You find the frequencies that you don't like, and then you just reduce the gain until they're gone. And I would do that in that song for definitely a couple of those frequencies in your mid-range stuff. I do think that the vibe itself is super peaceful, and I like that a lot though. So like it's one of those things where I think that when you remove those frequencies, you will make that feeling even more apparent. You know, it'll feel even more clean and clear and like kind of just like awe-inspiring. Maybe that's probably the best I think way to describe that. And then yeah, I think that your third question, should I just make the high energy section the whole second part of the bolt drops instead of slowly building to it? So you're talking about, I think, this part. I think that I like the way that it progressed, but it does feel a little bit long. You could probably do without this whole section here, honestly. I would say like just this first whole section here is probably good. And this is just my opinion, unless you feel like adding or changing some of these elements and making it more dynamic from an arrangement sense. I would say currently it does not feel different enough to warrant the kind of build up feeling that you're trying to elicit. Should I gain my sub or just cut the low mids to bring that curve in my spectrum? That's a good question. So a lot of the times I would just recommend focusing on your low elements first and then coming back to all of your other stuff. So like I would solo your kick, your snare, and your sub and just make sure that that all sounds good. Then maybe add the Reese, right? Make sure that all sounds good. And then kind of treat all of the other stuff, especially your melodic instruments, as this other section that you can then EQ. Because you shouldn't really have to EQ those other elements that I was just talking about very much. Maybe the snare, right? Maybe the kick a little bit. But for the most part, you shouldn't have to do a whole lot of EQing on things like the sub, or especially when it comes to like tonal shaping, or the Reese, maybe a little bit on the Reese and the low mids, but you shouldn't have to. The big thing you want to focus on EQing is your like melodics and your mid-range stuff and all that. And like there could be some high passing that you might need to do that could help with that. It's one of those things where, yeah, and that's great. I'm glad that you're making your own Reeses. I think everyone should try and sound design their own stuff. So that's a vibe. And yeah, I mean, as long as you are just aware of that curve and feeling, the idea of your low end kind of having a little bit of focus, because that's really what you're doing, is you're removing some of the low mid so that your low end can feel more forward without actually just boosting it, right? Because it's like you can only put up your low end so far before it starts to feel too boomy. But if you remove some of that low mid, not only does it remove that muddy feeling, but it also gives room to your low end instruments like your sub. So yeah, still really fire track. I loved that. That was very peaceful. So yeah, Dino, what do you think? What do you have to say?
All right. So I'm gonna address what you mentioned in the chat first about how the drums are not there or not done. I'm gonna have to echo that. I feel like the drums are just not there at all. And it's not that, and it's the pattern you used wasn't right in either section, either in the breakbeat or the 4/4 section. The sample selection wasn't right, and the types of drums you used were not right. I'm like, with something like, how do I put this? I want huge crash cymbals. I want rides. I want all these, like, because you have so much high end stuff. Like, those should just be just like cutting through a mix like this. But anyway, let me address the questions. Is the Reese good enough? I mean, yeah, it's good enough. It could be great though. Like reference Cohen sound for Reese's, just to see what a Reese could be. Especially if you have like this like really subdued Reese, and then every now and again on like a bar fill or something, you just have that super wild, like, you know, like kind of shit. Like that could go hard on a track like this, but you might not want to go hard on a track like this. Definitely the photo of the mountain range is definitely fitting for the music. Is the high energy section too full and muddy? I think that Mr. Magduit addressed that pretty well. Let's see. Yeah, there needs to be. I like the samples though. Really? You like those? Okay, sure. If that's what you want, it's a creative choice. Should I make the high energy section the whole second part of both drops instead of slowly building to it? I don't know what high energy part you might be talking about. If you're talking about the 4/4, I don't know if that was the vibe whatsoever in this track. But let's address my notes. I don't know what a wave vibe is. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to red pill me on that. Anyway. Oh. Maybe. Yeah, the only waves I know are synthwave and vaporwave. But let's get into my notes. We don't pan drums around here. There was like a weird fill section where you had like, it was like, it felt like it was maybe band pass or low pass. You had the drums and it was just playing on the right hand side. Could be the left hand side. I don't know. My shit's always backwards, but it's panned hard to one side, and we don't like that around these parts. Unless you're gonna do like that kind of thing where you're gonna play on both sides. But as far as like, yeah, we can pan percussions. We can't pan snares though, unless you're gonna give it like equal, or you can pan toms, but you need to give them like an equal amount of action on each side just to keep it balanced. At around 210, I'm not sure exactly what time it was because on the view that I see, it's kind of small, but it was like 210 to 230. There was like this huge dramatic shift in energy, and I don't know why that was or what was happening there, but it was huge, and I just felt like really weird. Maybe you can find that. It's before that. It's like maybe even earlier. I don't know. It's around this. Right there. At 2 minutes exactly. That, I feel like that break, that transition just could be a little bit better. And then also, since it seems like we're going into a breakdown, low high pass. Always use a little bit of high pass on that. And then the 4/4 vibe in the second half. I don't know if I'm feeling 4/4 on a track like this. I'm not gonna cook you, dude. Like, this is a really good track. That's why I'm going so hard on it. Like, I want to see this track succeed because I thoroughly enjoyed this, especially in comparison to some of the stuff we normally hear. Like, tonight was a slow night, but like if we can push this kind of music and we can get this out into the world and we can get like this more meditative, relaxing, like trance-like music, that would be it. I feel like the world would be better for it. So then we have like when you get to the second half, we have like a 4/4 vibe, and I just don't know that 4/4. Like try like a try like a triplet kick, and then just let it sit. So like it would be what triplet kick and then snare on the 3 maybe. So it'd be like a halftime vibe. But yeah, that like the main thing that I feel like this track needs some work with is just the drum elements. And you pointed that out in the chat, like you knew that going into this. But I very much appreciate the sound design. And again, the Reese is good, but it could be fantastic. And like as far as like the melodics and like the chord building and like the music theory that went into this track goes, like if you could get everything up to that level, it would be crazy. Yeah, yeah. What Dari? That's a good start. Please don't say Reason. He's in Reason. Did you? I sent you the video of the guy making the rhythm track in Audacity, right? With like no samples or VSTs. That was wild. Yeah. Yeah, that's really all. I really love like the vibe of this track. Like this is the kind of thing that I would play going 115. I mean, going 65 miles per hour in my car down the freeway. You know, like just this would make like my sound system sing. Like this is like like Nürburgring and fucking Gran Turismo type of music. Like Forza. Yeah. But can we get a DAW response, brother? What DAW are you in? Oh, that would go so hard on this track. That would go so hard. It goes so hard on this track. He's in Ableton. Okay, nice. I'm gonna, I'm gonna start calling Ableton Alberon. That's great. That's great. Hold on. Don't go to the gang track yet. Let's do Norby and then Shift and then because yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me find the Shift questions real quick. There we go. I'll send them to our chat.
Oh my god, was I muted that whole time when I was asking for his? It's because I was muted when I was asking for his DAW.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I think I was. But long story short, I was just curious if you have Ableton. If you do have Ableton, then just download that rack off of my Patreon.
Also, come through to a flip sometime. Flock flips, always welcome. Always want people in there. Thursday and Sunday nights at 9:00 Eastern.
For real.
Yeah, that was sick. That was super sick.
I feel like he knows what he wants to do. You know?
Yeah, I feel like he has the vision and he knows how to execute it too. Can we get from the drop about halfway through? Can we just Yeah, that's good, that's good. Um so I'm just gonna address like, is there an aversion to sidechaining tonight? That was sorry.
he's
I know
been
this
hanging
track
out
is-
with Snake too much, bro. No, I'm just kidding. We love you guys. But no, sidechaining is
Okay.
such a nice piece of the puzzle. Sorry. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Is the first build to the first drop Cringer? Is it cool? Dude, that was cool as fuck. Like, I just feel like you had given us a little bit more of that reverb release and a little bit more like wait time to before you drop it into that section. You think it's muddy? I know for a fact it's kind of muddy. Can we get just a little section? I don't. That's good. That's good. So, Mag, do you want to explain the stereo and the low end thing? Because that's definitely what that is.
I mean, I don't think it's just that. I feel like there's this weird noise layer that is also taking away
it's going in
energy.
the wub. It's removing from the sub bass quite a bit. It feels like there's frequency stacking it's either not giving room to the sub because like I don't know, or if you're using a dedicated sub, like just turn that bitch up, dude. Yeah, it could be frequency buildup on the reverb, and also high pass that reverb, like because there's a lot of stuff going on in the mids and lower that just doesn't need to be there. Is the build to okay? I already addressed that. The length of the track, I feel like you probably could have gone longer in the second half. The intro is perfect, like definitely the orchestral vibe, everything about that I think works really well. And then as far as the mix goes, like just low pass the things that need to be low pass, high pass the things that don't low pass anything really. High pass the things that need to be high passed, band pass the things that need to be band passed, and just give everything like its own little space. And since I know you're using FL Studio, a really easy way to do that is to just drop everything to audio and then re-import it in a new project and then assign it to its own mixer tracks and then use like the parametric EQ to just kind of see where everything wants to sit and wherever the fundamental is, just try and like focus in on that and give it its own space. And then from there, you could do like some cool like stereo atmosphere stuff would be nice with this. I know that FL Studio has that new stereo widener tool that has like multi-band like width options, so that could be cool. And yeah, like this is a sick track. Like definitely has a vision. And I see you worked on this 2 years ago. Hopefully it didn't take you 2 years to get to this point, but we could definitely see where this can go. And I'd like to see the growth on this track, especially because in 2 years, like technology could be, what did I mean by fundamental? So whatever the root frequent, whatever the like the main sound is that's making like the meat and potatoes of that sound, and then everything else beyond it, like stacking up in the harmonics, those are
all right. So you got, frequencies that are doing frequency stuff. All right. You got like all these different little frequencies here. Maybe one comes back up.
Oh,
here,
no.
Right. It's not above this one though. Anyway, the idea here is this frequency here, that is the fundamental frequency. So any kind of whatever that's going on over here, none of this is the fundamental. It's just, and let me see if I can make it a different color here. This right here is the fundamental frequency. So whatever the lowest one, and there's nothing else below it.
Bro made a key. The fundamental is the key.
Yeah, dude, this is subliminal messaging. All right, I'm trying to get it in their heads. Any sound, anything. Like if I if I hang on a second. There's a better way to do this. There's a better way to do this. All right, and I just thought of it. So give me a second. Let me find a I don't know, guitar loop. Do I have a guitar loop? Sure hope so. That one doesn't really have a good fun. Here we go.
There you go.
All right, so let me go
Kind
to Paint, and we'll just paste
Kind
it here.
What is that? The
So you
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth harmonic is like spiking way above the fundamental.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But
hilarious.
the fundamental is here. You can see it. It's this right here.
Yeah.
This is the fundamental. This one right here. And you can see it, how it's existing, right? It's got that girth to it. You know, that.
Well, I
that
mean,
right
you
there.
could argue that because this is an ARP, that like that's a fundamental, and then the next peak that's on that third harmonic is a fundamental, and then the sixth is a fundamental. 'cause
But
it's
no,
ARPing.
but
For the
this
yes,
is
for this
usually the fundamental.
representation.
Like
yeah.
if you were to look at any sound while it's playing, you're gonna want to look at what the lowest frequency is and where it exists, and it's that frequency range. So yeah, that hopefully explains it well enough. And
So
that's
yeah,
for any noise.
focus in on whatever the fundamental is, and then high pass everything below that, so that there's no bottom end buildup, and that should clean up a lot of that. And then there's a lot of like stereo stuff going on in the low end that could be cleaned up. But that's what I have to say about that. I really like this track. Snake speaks highly of you, and I can see why.
Yeah, I mean, Dino pretty much answered all the questions. I feel like the length could be a little bit longer. I think that as a creative choice, it might work. What I would recommend doing is doing exactly what Dino said. I would render all this out, especially because it's 2 years old. I would render this all out in audio, and I would just start over in the sense that I would bring all these audio samples in, maybe mix it again, like remix it down, get all the EQs sitting where you want them, and then maybe make executive creative decisions like, you know what, I'm going to change the drums, or you know what, I'm going to change this element here to this other instrument that I've been using recently, you know, that kind of stuff. I feel like I do that a lot. In fact, a lot of the songs that I have been working on recently are like that, and I think that it's okay to let go of stuff is what I'm trying to say, especially when it's older music that you've worked on. It's okay to let go of that one instrument that really just sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay. I mean, that's what I do often. You know, switch it out with something that you've made recently that you really like, and it'll still be a part of you. So that's all that really matters in the end. Mix, I know, is for a fact kind of muddy. Yeah, I think that the biggest reason why is because you are not high passing enough elements. I would especially high pass whatever that noise reverb layer thing is. I would really, really, really make sure you're getting rid of low frequencies and low mid frequencies and even mid frequencies, because it is only muddying up the song. What a simple volume change. Okay, so yeah, I mean, honestly, all you got to do is high pass it. I don't even think you need to adjust the volume. I think you just need to get rid of the frequencies that are hurting the general mix. And then, yeah, what do you recommend is the first build to the first drop? Cringe, was it cool? I mean, I think it's great. I think that it leads into this nicely. I think you could reverse crash us something, white noise sweep into it a little bit more, kind of like let us know that it's about to happen a little bit more. But it doesn't like sound horrible. Like, it doesn't sound bad. It's just you could make it sound a little bit more exciting. And to do that, I would do things like remove low end frequencies, you know, try and maybe get rid of a little bit of high frequencies. That way you have frequencies to give during the drop. That way you can feel the energy change, because right now it doesn't really feel. I mean, right, you have this moment of silence, right? Moment of silence for this track. No, I'm just kidding.
Rip my ears.
Yeah, I think that you could make the drop louder, and to do that, it means you could either do A, make the drop louder, right? Or B, make the intro quieter. And that's usually the route that I go. I usually try and make everything before the drop quieter instead of trying to make the drop louder. So I would experiment with that. But yeah, really fire track. The arrangement here is nuts. Sound design is nuts. Everything about it is fire. That's why, yeah, hopefully the ideas that we've given you can help you push it to that next level, because this is a cool track. All right. Oh, we are? Are we going to listen to Norby's track first? Do we want to do that?
I believe so.
All right. It's a minute and 30 seconds, and we, I guess, have full permission to go like hella stanky roast mode on this guy. So
I don't know why he didn't want to have this track. I remember when he made this track. And it's come a long way since. It's like super dope. This is a very good example of taking like a completely unrelated sample, in this case the rivet, like the frog rivet. This track is exactly the same without the frog rivet, but it doesn't feel alien to the track by having it in there, and he does it like rhythmically and musically. Like, it comes in when there's silences, it comes in when there's hits, and he just does it like consistently. I'm pretty sure that it's just a duplicated like sample in the background doing its thing, and the rest of the track just evolves around it. And so, yeah, pretty sick track. Some of the stuff, like I mentioned on the last track, could use some high pass. The percussion stuff, like, you had some tom hits in there that just need to be cleaned up. But just overall, like, EQ and what was give it the frequency space. I already forgot the term that I coined. God damn it, dude. I guess it wasn't a very good term. But give it that frequency compartmentalization. But anyway, yeah, sick track. Go ahead, Magnet.
yeah, I mean, I thought it was really good. I think that the one thing that my brain was itching for was a little bit more clarity in the low end from a sidechain perspective. I feel like there are times where the kick is hitting and the sub is hitting, and it feels a little bit weird, like there's some mud going on because they're both like fighting. You could also use like M auto align and try and go the phase route and try and make sure that they work with each other phase wise, or just do that manually. But I feel like you could also do the same thing. Like, the cleanliness aspect could be achieved by also sidechaining a little bit more aggressively. But no, I mean, I think the song sounds great. I like the way, like, you described the usage of the frog noises as, you know, intricate and intentional is probably the best word to describe it. And I think, yeah, he did get very intentional with the frog noises, and it sounds like they work within the song really well. I think that there could be a little bit more build and release of tension during the end of phrases to kind of like let us know that there is a new sound coming. But it's not necessary. I just think that would be like a nice touch to make it like really slap. Because if you can remove more frequencies and like do a little fill and let people know like, hey, this next section is going to have something a little bit different than the previous section, then people are going to be like, whoa, like people just go crazy for that. So I think that, like, you know, doing that wherever you can, especially in these kinds of songs, is worth doing. Yeah, and I just feel like the bass is like a little bit muddy, just a wee little bit muddy. I think it would go a lot harder if he high passed it and just had one clean low end sub kind of pitch bend rather than the kind of 3 harmonic like sub, or at the very least if he got rid of the second kind of harmonic that he has in there, which I think is like probably the technically like the 3rd or 5th harmonic. I would say that would have made the low end feel a lot cleaner, but. No, it's cool. This is a cool song. I think it's a little short too. I think it could be longer, but that is my opinion. I don't know if it's finished or not, so that's kind of more like keep flexing. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, do you have anything else you wanted to let Norby know?
No, love you, Norby. Stick around. Come back on Thursdays and Sundays at 9 o'clock Eastern. That goes for everybody else in the chat here. Also, gentlemen, we have reached the climax of the evening where it is now your turn to roast one of us. And tonight's sacrificial lamb is Mr. Magda himself.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Yep. This track's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. It's pretty cool, but it's also pretty uncool.
Well, I'll let them know. There's no intro to this. This is just the drop. It's just meat and potatoes. And yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Oh.
Credential clock.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, this is like just a drop idea, but I think it sounds pretty fun and exciting. So let us embark upon this journey.
I count money every day. Darkness in my vision's always night. It ain't never day. You ain't never close to safe when step into a real G. Demons in my spirit making choices for a mystery. Drop the bass and hide away. I count money every day. Darkness in my vision's always night. It ain't never day. You ain't never close to safe when step into a real G. Demons in my spirit making choices for a mystery.
A vibe.
Hashtag industry plant. Yeah, for sure. All right. I'm going to start off by saying I think SoundCloud might have done you dirty there, bro.
Bro, it always does. That's okay. That's all right.
Oh, it was so clean in Ableton.
Well, here, let's see the difference. Is there a difference?
Probably.
Drop the bass and hide away. I count money every day.
All right, well, pretend it sounded like mixed nicely. All right, use your imagination.
SoundCloud did you so dirty. Oh man. Okay. Let's see here.
Maybe that's some good feedback that I'll take into consideration. Make sure my shit sounds better on SoundCloud.
That it does. Okay. How is the mix down? After hearing it on SoundCloud, maybe we shouldn't have mastered it specifically for that one fill. Not gonna lie though, that fill sound, the one that comes in at like oh, hold on, let me bring it up on my own thing. Where is it?
But nah, I feel like
the one that
what were you gonna say?
the section that comes in at 124.
Yeah, shit does slap.
Yeah.
That's
so fucking hard, dude. How is the mixdown? The mixdown's fantastic as always. You already know that. Do I like the funk vocal? Are there other vocals that could fit this vibe? I feel like just the way you process this, and let this be a lesson to everyone else whose vocal processing I ripped on tonight. You could replace that with pretty much, yeah, Ian, it does sound a lot thinner on SoundCloud. And you know, the funny thing is though, like, you spend a good 15-20 minutes adding a whole bunch of top end sizzle that just gets blown the fuck out on SoundCloud because it gets bit reduced down to like 128, and so it just,
I wanted to make sure I wasn't like running Sound ID or anything, but I'm not. So yeah, I don't. I guess it's just SoundCloud doing SoundCloud things. But the big thing is we didn't put a limiter at the end. Did we?
No. Yeah,
we didn't.
We did.
So technically, there's 2 tracks, right? And both of the tracks are not going through a final limiter. So what ends up happening is we are technically going above clipping. Oh, and this is something that I found out recently. So the question is, what do you care about? Do you care about transparency, or do you care about your shit banging? If you care about
transparency,
and I do as well. So here's the thing: when you guys are mixing and mastering, making things loud, etc., there are 2 things that you should consider. You should probably consider having 2 mixes or masters of a track. You should have a kind of like stage, live master for the track, and you should have like a radio master for the track. And the way that you should consider your mastering is what happens. For one of these. Yeah, what happens?
This thing master, yeah.
Right, and the question is, what happens when you play your track back on a digital system? So like, if I load up this song file real quick, let me just load this up here, and then let me open up my volume mixer here. Okay. So watch what happens on my volume mixer inside of Windows. Okay, so watch this. See how it's going above this 0 dB line here? So that means that everything that I play it on, every time I put it through SoundCloud, Spotify, whatever, it is going to sound squished or different or not the same because it's going above 0 dB. Now, on a big system, let's go. We're going to go one step deeper. All right. We're going on a little bit of a reference understanding, educational adventure here. So let me grab one of my favorite loud reference tracks, and that is Joe B. So let's go ahead and drag in a Joe B.
Who wants it?
Ian's cooking. Is it possible to make a distorted harmonic bass with just noise and signs using SoundCloud compression? Sign compression using SoundCloud.
You just keep uploading it to SoundCloud
just resample it with SoundCloud,
and then re-upload it again. That could go hard.
Brother is cooking.
But no,
don't tell real.
So check out. So this is the Joby track that I bought off of what is it? Tune? What's the fucking website called? It's not like iTunes or anything, but it's the equivalent of it. Long story short, this is the original WAV file that he created for, like, live music, all that kind of shit.
Who wants
it? Go to the drop. You can see he's like not getting. So the question is, like, what do you care about more, right? So the big thing that I've realized is, if you're going to upload it to a service or website that does not let people download the WAV file, so SoundCloud, Spotify, I would recommend creating a different mix and just clipping or limiting your master. So like, if I put a limiter on this, if I did when I rendered it out, if I had put a limiter on this, you'll see it's going to activate. Like, it's gonna, if it's at 0 dB, it's gonna activate. So the good thing about having the limiter at the end, or a clipper or whatever, like I could have put a clipper as well. Let me just grab a clipper instead, just to show you. So if I put it at 0, still at 0, we'll make sure it's crisp, which is hard clipping. It's a lot harder to see, but you can see that yellow line drop down every once in a while here. that is basically going to save you from what just happened to me on SoundCloud. That's going to save you from the tragedy of your song going above 0 dB. But if you are playing it live, I would, or selling it, right, the WAV file, I would actually advise not giving a fuck about that. But that is just because I reference people that I really like. And if other people are doing it, you know, like, obviously, you know, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, what matters more, what it sounds like on SoundCloud, or what matters when you play it back on your big ass speakers or on the system that someone purchased the song on, right? Like, I would say what matters most is that sound that we heard in Ableton, right? Like the sound that you hear while you're mixing it down. But
Right, because there's not going to be a compressor doing fucking 128K compression on the sound system. Like, that's just, it's not there.
Exactly.
And it's not like, and in with modern sound systems, like the signal might be hot, but it's never actually going to clip the sound system. So
Yep.
yeah, all that stuff can be like, that's old news now.
So basically,
Sorry.
No, you're speaking facts. Basically, he's saying that there's nothing like that on an actual sound system. So having two mixdowns, I think, is the way if you really want your stuff to be transparent. And if you don't care about the transparency and what you really care about is just the people who are buying your music, then you should not give a fuck about like going over 0 dB. Now, the big thing that I will say is whenever you are bouncing audio, so let me just open up the render settings here. 44.1 is going to be the least compressed format of sample rate. If you are uploading a sample rate of 48K or 96K or 192 or some crazy shit like that, if you're uploading that to SoundCloud, it is going to compress even more aggressively, and you're going to lose like a luff or two of sound or of loudness from your tracks. So those are just some nice helpful tips to make sure that, you know, you're rendering something at the right sample rate. But on top of that, yeah, putting a clipper or a limiter all the way at the end of everything, and it basically making sure that it never goes above 0. So you see here I have this ceiling set to 0. Same with the limiter over here, right? The ceiling is set to 0. That basic, and if you really want to be extra safe, you basically just drag this down to minus 0.1 like that, or minus 0.1. That's how you can be like extra safe. That way you'll know for sure it's not going to go above 0. Then you will not have the issue that I just experienced happen, because it will be clipped at 0, which means it won't be going above the 0 dB inside of the digital space, which means that it won't be, you know, changed as much. But yeah, that's just that final little bit of wisdom that only the cool kids who sat through the whole FIF get to experience. So yeah, make bangers, make really loud, really cool, really insane. What else?
Aggressively loud.
Yeah,
Forgot that part.
Aggressively loud, zero fucks kind of music.
No luffs.
Oh yeah, only luffs.
No
actually,
luffs.
only luffs. Positive luffs.
No negatives.
No negatives. Yeah, only positives.
No negatives. All right, and so then, okay, let's get to the second question. Do you like funk vocals? Are there other vocals that can fit this vibe? I feel like you could probably drag and drop anything in here, because this track is going to be agnostic of whatever it is. Like, this is another example of like the vocals don't remove anything, but they add something. So if you took this out and you were removing an element, then, you know, that would be like, you could do it with anything, and that's because you have it processed in a certain way. What can I do for the intro? Ooh, how do you intro a track as fire as this? I don't know. That's a good question. What could you do for the intro?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, you could possibly, if we can get a whole view of the Ableton, like make it so that the chat's not covering it. There you go. Kind of zoom out a little.
That's as zoomed out as I can be. Oh, you mean like this? You mean I can do that a little bit?
Yeah, that works.
But no, it's, see, like that's
okay.
That's
Oh yeah. Okay. So you'll notice he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks there. 8 blocks of music. And it comes out to about a minute 40, right? A minute 36.
Something like that.
So what he could do is he could take half of that time, right? And he can make that into an intro. Okay. Right? And then he could take the other half of that time and he could make that into an outro. And then he could take a quarter of that time and make that into a break in between there. And for an intro for something like this, maybe just like the drums high passed a little, and then like the old, like, I don't know, like delayed in bass high pass thing. I don't know, something like simple and easy for a DJ to mix in, because this is not like the kind of track where someone's just gonna like sit and listen to it. This is the kind of track that's gonna get played on a system, I feel like. And so as far as like going on a journey with something like this goes, I'm not sure that matters here. Especially, and again, it depends on the audience and the crowd you want to go for. But like, this is definitely like peak music, like peak set music.
Oh yeah, this is like you're in there. You're hyped.
Yeah, so this is the kind of thing where you just want to make it easy for a DJ to mix, and that's something that, like, depending on who you're making music for, that's something that like a DJ is going to look for. Does it have a clear 8/16 32 bar intro that has a succinct kick and snare that they can use to mix into their tracks? Like, that's kind of important to people who are playing a track out. But yeah, that's what I got for that. Mr. Magnet, thank you for your submission. Thank you for showing the credentials. This is how you get a what's higher than a PhD? I don't know. But
an NFG, which is a no
yeah,
fucks given.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Well, thank you, fam, for coming through to the flock to the Feedback Friday, not the Flock Flip. Come through to the Flock Flip last night and on Sunday. And that being said, I didn't see very much roasting in the chat from Mr. Magnet, so he must have done something right.
Yep. I guess my tracks just suck as much as they always have, you know?
Yeah.
No, but keep flexing. Keep making music, guys. Don't stop. Come through. Thank you again for sticking through the whole thing. Yeah. Love you guys. And we will be back next Friday.
Yep. Same bad place, same bad time, same bad channel.
Same cool music, though. Ooh. Yep.
Oh, yeah. No misses tonight. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Banging tunes every time. Peace out, gang.
Well, not every time. Most of the time.
What every time, bro? Stop it. No, it's every single time.
Sometimes we have some tracks that make me want to.
We can overlook those. All right?
Yeah,
we can still say, no, we can still say that they're banging, just, you know, because of the support from all of the surrounding tracks. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I don't know, what's a group of musicians that like have one guy that sucks? I'm trying to think, like, I don't know.
What's Virtual Riot's label?
Oh yeah, Disciple. There you go. Perfect. Just kidding. Virtual Riot, if you see this, please don't hate us. All right. Bye everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.